To the angel of the church in Laodicea write, the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of God, says this: I know your deeds, that you are neither cold nor hot. I wish that you were cold or hot. So because you are lukewarm and neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. Because you say, I am rich and have become wealthy and have need of nothing, and you do not know that you are wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked, I advise you to buy from me gold refined by fire, so that you may become rich, and white garments so that you may clothe yourself, and that the shame of your nakedness will not be revealed, and eye salve to anoint your eyes, so that you may see. Those whom I love, I reprove and discipline. Therefore, be zealous and repent.
And last but not least, we come to Laodicea.
Laodicea, yes. That's the lukewarm church.
So where are we at our final stop?
We are right over in Fincastle, Virginia.
Oh, wow. Stone's throw from here. Okay,
right.
Very cool.
I had semi-retired in Huntsville, and I was doing pulpit supply and interim work wherever it was needed, and I could stay plenty busy doing it. But your pastor
Yeah.
called me one day. He said, hey, Dad, why don't you send a resume up here? And I said, what for? And he said, I don't know, if something comes up. I guess he knew, the churches were looking for pastors in the area. And through SBCV, he was very much engaged in that. They were getting the word out. And I said, well, okay. Just sent it to Tyler. Didn't hear anything for 6 months or so, And back when we used to have answering machines.
Yeah, what year are we talking?
This would have been 2007, I think.
So that would have been right after Tyler got hired in Forest, because he started in 06, I believe.
Wasn't too long, yeah.
Wow.
And I said, I'll do it. And I got to be in a lot of churches and preached at a lot of different congregations in Alabama and southern Tennessee. Because Huntsville is actually only 10 miles from the Tennessee state line.
Gotcha.
And I knew just about all the churches and pastors in that area. Had been there so long. Preached a lot of revivals and got to know people. But I sent it up here. I got a call from this little church over here, Zion Hill.
Zion Hill, okay.
Zion Hill Baptist Church. I'd had a dream about going to the mountains before that ever happened.
Oh, wow.
I know God speaks in dreams. I'm not a Muslim, but
yeah. I mean, he uses dreams.
He wasn't trying to bring me to be saved because I was already saved, but there was something he was trying to get my attention about.
Yeah.
And it was as vivid as you think it could be, going to the small church in the mountains.
Wow.
And I talked to my wife about it. We left home and came up here from my home in Alabama and came up here, spent a weekend, and I preached in a neighboring church. And so I preached, they put me up, and then that was probably within a week or two after that, and they voted me to come, and so we just felt real at peace. That's how we ended up in Virginia. Stayed there for about almost three and a half and 4 years. They were a church that was lukewarm. And I don't mean this to be disrespectful to the people there. There were some good people there, but there was some other people that looked down on other people. And again, they were sort of like some of the previous churches, kind of thinking they had a spiritual superiority over them. And these are not the kind of people we want in our church.
Yeah.
So I had to wade through that. It wasn't work. I had to wade through that, and it was tough. I did not know for probably a year or so that there was such a political segment of the congregation They were very involved in politics. I didn't know it. I did not know it. So affected everything they did in church.
Yeah.
Spiritual things they equated with being political. And that was hard to get people to understand.
Yeah.
They did some good things in the community, but it was mostly so they could get recognition and not necessarily they really care about the people. And I began to see through these. This is the way they were existing, you know. They paid us a decent salary. We lived in a parsonage there that was huge. It was so big. It was about 3,500 square feet.
Huge parsonage when all the kids are out of the house. That's
yes.
nice.
And just me and my wife, you know.
Yeah, in a
and I
giant
told her, I
house.
said, what do we need with 5 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms? There's only 2 of us here, you know.
Start renting it out.
That's right. But they had acquired that property as a gift from a family that had been members at one time. A member of that family went to D.C., became a very prominent veterinarian there, made a huge donation for that purpose. They had a plaque on front of it. So I told my wife, I said, you can never do anything else with this house. It's got a plaque on it, man. It's, it's standing here like this. It was a beautiful house, beautiful view from where we was over there in the mountains, but they kind of prided themselves in that.
Gotcha.
You know? I told my wife, I said, this is one of the first times I've been in a pastor church where the house was bigger than the church. It was not a very big congregation, you know, big building. It was sufficient for what we had, you know, number of people that came. But its population is so sparse over there. It's spread out. So I kind of challenged them to let's get involved and do some mission things, you know, and had a handful of people that said, okay, let's try that. You know, they never thought about doing any missions involvement, and we did. Took them on a couple of trips. Both of them was to Thailand, to the Chinese through Southern Cross Project. That went very well, and I thought we were going to start getting some other people involved in that. What I didn't realize was that behind my back, there were rumblings because people were dissatisfied with the people that I was inviting to the church.
That seems to be a common theme through your ministry.
Yes.
Just kind of like the Jews and Gentiles sort of bumping elbows. It seems like you had that same problem in a different way.
Yes.
Huh.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I got a call one time to go back to West Tennessee. The church had pastored there at New Harmony and do a big homecoming service. We hadn't been there 22 years, and they invited. It was a big honor to get to come back and preach in church. So we did. And we told our church over there we were going to. I had someone fill the pulpit from here in Lynchburg. I think he was a member of Forest at that time, and Tyler recommended him. So I had him come and preach. And when I came back from that trip, I got a call from a visiting pastor who'd been at the church, and he said, hey, glad you're back in town. Very conservative guy. And he said, hey, I'm glad you're back in town. He said, but I have a question for you. I said, okay, what's that question? He said, did you know your deacons were going to have a meeting without you while you were gone? And I said, no, but I'll find out what that was about, you know. Man. So I started making phone calls.
Yeah.
Sure enough, they took advantage of their opportunity. They waited till I was not around to bring my name up for dismissal.
Wow.
So I got back. They said they hated to do it. And I was thinking, well, why are you doing it? Because nothing's going on here. And I asked them these questions. I said, is it my preaching? And one of the guys said, no, you're the best pastor we've ever had, preacher we've ever had in this pulpit.
So far, so good.
Yeah. I said, is it a moral question? Have I been unfaithful to my wife? Oh, no.
We're 2 for 2.
Oh yeah, and I'm going down the list, you know, and you know these things. What are the charges here? And here were their words, Matt.
Oh my!
We just decided we did not want to talk about it. And left me sitting there.
That doesn't work at home.
I still have that chairman's notes. I asked him, I said, can I have a copy of that? He said, you can have this one. I still got exactly what he read and what they asked me to do, and then tell me, we're not going to talk about it.
Wow. So you never found out?
Never found out. To this day, I don't know.
What do you think it was?
I think it was the push that I was trying to bring the church to be more community-minded and reaching into the community. There was a lot of poor people who lived over there in those mountains.
Yeah.
That were just forgotten.
Sure.
There's churches over there that were booming and popping, you know, and growing everything. This little church always compared themselves to the bigger churches and said, we can't do that. I said, we're not supposed to do that. We have a ministry of our own to reach the people close to where we're at. Now, if they ever got involved in a ministry to help people in the church, I mean, they do everything. They had a gentleman that got cancer. He was a deacon there, and he was a fine gentleman. But they stopped everything they were trying to do in the church and put all of their energy and money into his wife's life, and taking it from everything else and taking care of them, propping them up. So it was difficult to have to work through that, because I didn't make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
I think they thought I should, because he was about to go to heaven.
Yeah.
And get a crown. We're supposed to bow down at his feet before we left. That was it. That was my feelings.
Yeah.
That's the way they were.
Huh.
They kind of put him on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Over everybody else. I told him, I said, this is not right. We've got people that need to be reached with the gospel here. You cannot neglect them and take care of just this family, just two of them. But if it wasn't that, I don't know. Because they asked me, they called me, one of the questions that the chairman asked me, he said, now, if you were going to make changes in a church like this, how would you go about making those changes? Now, I looked at him and I kind of grinned. I said, very slowly. There were things I would have changed the first week, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I tried to learn the people and learn the area, get to know the community, and they just never latched onto that. And I did resign. I went ahead and prayed about it, told my wife, I said, we're out of here.
Yeah.
We're gone. I can't stay here and do this. And last time I saw that church was the Sunday I walked out, and I told the church, I said, if you want to know why I'm leaving the church, and we had a deacon family ministry. All the deacons had families to minister to. I said, go to your deacon and ask them why I'm leaving, because I have no earthly idea.
Wow.
And I walked out the aisle, and the last view I had was in my rearview mirror as I was putting out the parking lot. Every deacon was pinned up against the building with families, and they were wanting answers to their questions. To this day, I have no idea what happened. We left, went
And
home.
you haven't been back since?
Haven't been back since.
Wow. And you left in 2010?
2010.
Wow. And then we got you.
Yeah,
So it
you
worked out well for us.
Yeah, you got stuck with me over here.
No, that's great. Yeah. So I guess to bring it all home, we're Forest Baptist Church.
Yes.
Which letter would we have gotten of these 7 letters? Which church do we most exemplify, do you think?
I think, honestly, I've thought about this. I think it would be the church in Philadelphia, because of the fact that the love that you experience at Forest is genuine.
I'm really glad you didn't say Sardis.
No, not Sardis. Or Zion Hill.
Yeah.
There's something special in Forest that's just different. My wife made a remark after we first started coming to Forest. She participated in some of the women's ministry studies and things like that. And she came home one time, she told me, she said, I have to tell you, she said, these women at Forest are the most genuine women I've ever been around in my life. She said, they are real. So it's not something that's just made up or phony or fake, it's real. It's genuinely real. Because in that first little church where I was making $50 a week, she went to her first, what was the WMU meeting, World's Women's Missionary Union, and she came home crying and sobbing. And I said, what is wrong? And she said, all they wanted to do was to run down the women in the community. We had nothing about missions. It's like she had gone, gone to glory when she got here, It's what's in your heart.
Yeah.
And that's what we see at Forest. It's genuineness of what's in people's hearts. If you preach, whoever the pastor is or whoever the preacher is, you preach the truth and you preach it in love, as John says, then you'll see the fruit of that in people's lives. It'll be real. And that's what we had when we were in Huntsville at Heritage for those years. It was a genuineness. Had people visit there and said, hey, we heard about this church and we just came to see for ourselves, and it's real what's here. So
if the Lord was to send a letter to the church at Forest Baptist, what do you think he would say? I think about that a lot, honestly, because I love the letters to the church. I think it's fascinating. And I've always wondered, what would the Lord say to us if we got a letter?
A couple of things come to mind. First of all, the church would be commended, not condemned, but commended for their mission involvement. It's been years since I've known a church of any size that really doesn't just talk about missions, but they are missions. They do missions, and having missionaries around the world, whether it's 2, 10, or 100, it doesn't matter. We're doing what the Lord put us here to do in that respect. The other thing, I think, if there is something to be condemned, would be hidden sin in the congregation. Because you don't talk about that when you're talking to people. But every church I pastored, even Philadelphia, there was some hidden sin there that we had to deal with.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do sometimes.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
because it derails where you're headed.
Yeah.
So I think those would be two things, but I think he would say, keep loving like you're loving, you
Yeah.
know, and if you do that, then I will be well pleased.
Yeah.
Behold, I stand at the door and knock. He who is holy, if anyone hears my voice, who is true, and opens the door, who has the key of David, I will come in to him, who opens and no one will shut, and will dine with him, and he with me, and who shuts and no one opens. The Amen. He who overcomes, I will grant to him to sit down with me on my throne, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of God, as I also overcame and sat down with my Father on his throne. The one who has the sharp two-edged sword, the first and the last, who was dead and has come to life. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches.